Hello, everyone. Let me introduce Ben Turner, an English teacher from Slovakia, who has kindly agreed to join me today and talk about teaching in Slovakia a little bit. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this once again. So, Ben, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do? Where do you work? What's your context, like educational context and background as well?
Yeah, great. Okay, so my background, I'm originally from a small town close to London in England. I worked for 9 or 10 years in like the motor industry with cars, motorbikes, all of this fun stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I made the move over to Slovakia, started teaching English.
Okay.
I've been here for 6 years. I live in a really small town. And I'm a private, self-employed English teacher. I work through some schools, some businesses, and online.
Okay, I see. Was this transition to teaching smooth, relatively, or it was difficult to readjust and like start teaching from scratch?
Oh yeah, it was a nightmare, of course. Absolute nightmare. But yeah, it's one good thing is I'm very stubborn, so I just keep going, keep learning, keep reading, keep learning, and eventually it's okay.
I see. Do you teach mostly individual students or group students?
I get a lot of requests for individual students, but as a business, it makes more sense to put everyone in groups.
Okay, I see. Do you teach mostly online, or do you have face-to-face lessons?
Mostly now face-to-face, and I supplement that with a few online lessons. I tried to go 1 day a week only online, and I didn't really like it. I missed the face-to-face contact and in the classroom with games, so I went back to a classroom.
I have very similar feelings about teaching online. I would rather teach like face-to-face class because of the energy and it just the vibe, the dynamics. It's all much more engaging and active as well. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So what would you say is an average salary? A question that interests everyone. Like I know it's kind of like an array of questions would depend mostly on the context, but what would you say? What's the average salary for an English teacher?
So in a state school, it's about 800 to 1,000 euros per month. 1,000 is quite high according to some teachers. And 5 minutes before we had this call, I looked on some job boards and I found that in this area and this country, for a private teacher through a language school, it's anywhere from 8 euros per lesson to 16, 17 euros per lesson. So there's a huge difference.
Does it depend mostly on the experience or certificates or anything like that? So like the common factors, right?
Number one here, it depends whether you're a native speaker or not, of course. It also depends on the location. Which town is bigger, the capital city, you're going to earn more money because you're spending more money. Yeah.
I see. Is there? Do you believe that the job of a teacher is considered to be prestigious? Are there many young people who take teaching as a career option?
I think a lot of people attend university, but not many of them stay as teachers for much longer. A lot of them have a couple of years experience in a school, find out that there's no room for improvement, and they try to get out as soon as they can and find a different career from people I've spoken to.
Okay, I see. Is it difficult for a school owner to find teacher to fill in a position? Is there a big competition between teachers overall?
I think you can always find somebody who speaks English, and then they quickly find out that they actually can't teach English. So I'd say to find a good teacher is difficult, but the big factor is people are trying to pay such little money that's why you can't find good teachers who are motivated and who want to stick around, really. That's half of the problem.
I see. And what's the overall attitude to learning English in Slovakia? Are people motivated to learn? Is it a prerequisite for them to climb up the career ladder or anything like that? So how do people feel about learning English?
So people know that they need it. If you look at the higher paid jobs online, they all say we need B2 level of English minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So people know they need it, but they're quite reluctant to study and pay for lessons. Yeah, and now it's the same with German language. A lot of German companies have moved here, so people start to think, I need to learn German and English, and it's stressful. And yeah, so people know they need it, but a lot of the students are not super motivated.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do get a super motivated student, I'm so happy.
Okay.
So
I
happy.
see.
Yeah.
And what would you say, what's the typical age to start learning English in Slovakia?
So the kids start from 6 years old at school,
Mm-hmm.
but normally it's around teenagers they contact teachers or language schools,
Mm-hmm.
because when they get to that age they can see that they need more practice, they need something more focused in order to pass the state exam when they are 18 years old.
Okay. Is it a compulsory exam?
Yeah, it's pretty compulsory. And yeah, in my opinion, the schools don't do a good job of preparing the kids for the exam.
Is it because
It's
they don't have enough hours or?
Oh, they've got a lot of time. They've got 4 or 5 lessons per week through school.
Mm-hmm.
But the big problem is the behavior of kids. Big classes, 30, 35 kids in a class. Really boring textbooks that they have to use. So that's one of the biggest problems.
I see. Do they use what's the adjective for Slovakia? Is it Slovak or Slovakian? Slovak, right?
Slovak, let's say, yeah.
Okay. Do they use Slovak textbooks or like foreign textbooks like Cambridge or anything like that?
Each school picks and chooses, and I don't know how they choose. I think they close their eyes and just pull out a book and say, this is perfect. But a lot of the guys use Solutions book.
Okay, I see.
So I think some of them are printed for the Slovak market because they've got some words lists with Slovak and English.
Uh-huh.
But no, mostly they're just in English.
I see. And what's the expected level of English that school children are supposed to have by the time they finish schools? Is it like
So
B2?
yeah, the leaving exam is B2. But if you take English as your major foreign language, you can choose a second, like Spanish, and then it's only B1, and it's only a spoken test.
Okay, I see.
So yeah, about B2, but yeah, it's a bit hit and miss.
Okay, and the lesson is like 40 minutes long, right? You said they usually have 5 to 6 lessons a week.
Yeah, in the schools they're 45-minute lessons. Through language schools, they are usually 55 or 60-minute lessons.
Okay, and are there many foreigners working in Slovakia?
Quite a lot, yes. Not in this town, but in general, yes. I would say 90% of them start teaching English, and 50% of them stop and try to find a different job or work remotely or fly back to England or fly back to their country and spend some time there.
I see. Is it compulsory to have some sort of teaching certificates like TKT or CELTA or Delta in order to find a job and secure a position?
So in the smaller towns, no. In the bigger towns and the bigger schools like International House, British Council, yeah, they need CELTA minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. What do you think? What's the best thing about teaching in Slovakia?
Yeah, teaching here, it's difficult. The best thing for me is that it's very easy to stand out because a lot of people are not doing a good job or they are not very motivated and they don't over deliver.
Okay.
So for me, it's really easy to stand out in this small town. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing for me. Yeah.
Okay. Is there something that you don't really enjoy about teaching English in Slovakia?
Don't enjoy. I don't know if it's specific for Slovakia. I think it would be the same everywhere. You've got the crazy schedules with morning lessons and then afternoon lessons and a big break in the middle. You've got people who push for individual lessons when you're pushing for group lessons. And the lack of support from language schools, basically. It's up to us to give a placement test, needs analysis, supply material, plan the course. We do everything, basically.
Okay. And their task is just to attract clients, register, get their information, that's it?
Yeah, if they feel like it. Sometimes they don't feel like attracting anybody. And yeah, again, it's down to the teacher. You do a good job, word of mouth spreads, and that's how we get most clients.
I see. Is there some paperwork that you're supposed to do, or like some reports that you need to fill in, or anything like that? Or your main responsibility is just teaching and that's it?
Yeah, teaching, keeping the clients happy. Generally no reports unless a parent asks for something, which never happens. So it's just to write a short description of what you covered in the lesson. Just in case you're sick next week and a different teacher has to cover the lesson.
Okay. Is it okay? Is it easy to find a substitute teacher if something happens? Is it okay for you to leave the group and then, or it's kind of problematic?
It's problematic, yeah, because most of the teachers are teaching at the same time, especially in the afternoons.
Yeah.
And we don't really have any extra teachers who are like substitutes. So yeah, if one person is sick, or if your kids are sick or something, then it can be a big problem. Yeah.
Okay. And would you recommend moving to Slovakia and teaching English as an option for someone considering a new place to go and travel and teach? What do you think? What's your overall review of Slovakia as a place to teach English and live in general?
Yeah, okay, so if you don't have any connection, like if you don't have a Slovak husband or wife or something, then, and if you expect professionalism and these things, yeah, probably don't come here. In the bigger towns, in the capital, okay, it's good. You can find some professional schools with some structure and system. But if you're going to come to a small town, yeah, it's very relaxed. Don't expect anything special. If you love the nature around this town and these activities like I do, then it's good for when you've got free time. But if you want to earn a lot of money easily and yeah, be part of a really structured system, then I'd probably be choosing somewhere different.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much. It was very insightful and very interesting to talk to you. So thank you very much.